Hello, my wonderful Twin Tower students. Today we're going to be looking at a few example games, and we're going to be talking about how we can add variables, such as scoring systems, to these games. I'm going to start this video. We're going to show you how to do variables for a maze game. How to use variables to keep track of maybe some kind of score in your maze game. We'll do two examples of that. So let's start with this maze game, and I'm going to click here to start because the student added a beautiful menu. So it's asking me to get you to the bomb. The bomb's up here. Okay, so there's a few of these eggs to collect, it looks like. Oh, I hit a wall. Okay. Hopefully I don't mess this up too bad. Okay. I might have to start cheating in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to cheat. But basically what we want is we want to collect these eggs, and each time we collect an egg, I don't want to be able to leave without all the eggs. So I'm going to add a variable that keeps track of my eggs. So I'm going to go to backdrops. I'm gonna keep track of all my variables in the background just because it's easier for me. Another thing that people do sometimes is they'll make a sprite and they'll just leave the sprite blank and they'll call this like variables. Actually, I'll do this one. It's more like computer sciencey and cool. So I'll have this sprite called variables. So this sprite name is going to be variables. Maybe I want to make a variable that keeps track of my eggs. So I'll go to variables, I'll make a variable, and I'll call it egg counter. Usually in computer science, in our variables, we don't put space bars between words because most programming languages will read that as two different variables, eggs and counters. So usually we write egg counter. And actually, the first word is usually lowercase. This is usually just how people write variables in computer science. This is what I'm going to be doing. You don't have to if you don't want to in Scratch, but it's a good practice. This variable is going to exist for all sprites. And now we have our egg counter. So I'm going to say that when we start the game, we should set our egg counter to 0. And now, each time we collect an egg, we should change our egg counter by 1. So now each time, I go into each of my egg sprites, and if I touch this egg, I change my egg counter by 1. That's going to increase it by 1. Changing it by 1, increase it by 1. Changing it by -1 would move it down by 1. I'm going to increase it by 1 each time I collect an egg. Increase egg counter by 1. Increase egg counter by 1. So now I have all these eggs, and each time I collect them, and maybe you have something different in your maze, but I touch this egg, I get 1. I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to drag my chick over. Uh-oh, there's a glitch. It looks like this egg isn't hiding. So this is the cracked egg. So forever show, it should be when the green flag clicks show, and then if I touch it, it hides. And baby chick isn't respawning. Sorry, this is a student's work, so I might have to change a few things around just to fix it. But the baby chick should start here. I walk up here. My egg counter is 0. I collect my first egg. I collect my... Oh, it's because I didn't hit start. Whoops, duh. Bad teacher, bad teacher. Okay, there we go. Everything's working now. Okay, egg counter is 0. Uh-oh, I died. Okay, hold on. Start game. I'm just going to drag my chicken to the egg to make it easier for me. So I get 1 egg. I get 2 eggs. That egg didn't work. Change eggs by 1. I get 3 eggs. I get 4 eggs, 5 eggs, 6 eggs. And it's off by 1 because the code wasn't working. But now what I can do is I can go to mom, and I could say, if touching baby chick, then if maybe if we have less, if our egg counter, if the number of eggs we have is less than 6, we could say, go back and save your siblings. And then if the egg counter is greater than 5, meaning it's going to be 6 if it's greater than 5, but maybe it would be better to use equals. If it's equal, if the egg counter is equal to 6, if we have the correct amount of eggs, then she should say, yay, you did it. So now we have a variable that keeps track of our eggs, We have a variable that keeps track of our eggs, and if we get all 6 eggs, then we can win. But if I only have 4 and I try to leave, she'll say go back. And I need to move her out of my way. But once I collect all 6, my variable will know that I've collected all 6. And she'll say, yeah, you win. So that's one example of a variable we can do. Another variable that could be cool. I'm just going to copy this baby chick. I'm going to see if I can name it baby chick. No, I can't. That would be too easy. What we could do is I can make this my second player. And maybe it could be a racing game. Maybe you want to get to the end as fast as possible. If maybe you're doing a racing game, a different variable that might be cool is, let me see what controls this is on. This is up, down, left, right. So this baby 2 should be WASD. WASD. And this actually has to be a S. So now I have 2 chicks. And one of them moves with the arrow keys, and the other one moves with WASD. And he's actually backwards right now. Okay. I have 2 chicks. One of them moves with the arrow keys, one of them moves with WASD. And again, he is backwards because I am a fool. This is left. This should be A. This is right. This should be D. This is down. This should be S. This is up. This should be W. Okay. Now we have 2 players. I've enabled 2-player mode. There are now 2 players in this maze. And maybe we want to do a race. Maybe we want to have a timer for a race. So a timer could be a cool thing to add to your game. So we can have a different variable. So I'll go to variables, and we'll make a new variable, and we can make a timer for our games if we want. So we can maybe keep track of something we're collecting by increasing it each time we collect those things. Or maybe we could set a timer. Maybe when the green flag is clicked, it'll set our timer to 0, and then maybe it will forever increase time. It'll forever, every second, it'll increase the timer variable by 1. So now when the green flag is clicked, it's going to set the timer to 0. Then it's going to run the next code block, and it's going to set the egg counter to 0. And then it's going to forever wait a second and then increase the time by 1. Wait a second, increase the time by 1. Now we're going to have a timer. And maybe if we wanted to keep score or something, we could have mom have code where when you win, yay, you did it, we could stop all. We could stop all. And what that'll do is make it so that when we win, I get all of these 6 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now when I win, it'll stop the timer. So it'll keep track of when you win, when you do something. So you can have a timer, and you can use stop all to stop the timer. So timers can be useful. Variables to track your score can be really useful. The score variable, it's going to work the same way in every game. So maybe in this game, when my chick touches this egg, my score goes up by 1. Maybe in your game, you can have a rectangle where whenever your ball touches a certain rectangle, your score will go up by 1. Or maybe you have a fighter, and maybe your fighter, when the green flag is clicked, it sets their health to 100. And if that fighter is touching something that hurts them, a spike or a weapon or an explosion of energy, then that variable for health goes down by 1. Maybe you have a what other games do my students have? Flappy Bird game, and I'll actually do that one in another video because it's a little harder. But this should be it for variables. This should be everything for maze games, and in general, these should be very applicable. So hopefully you guys can work with these. Good luck, and please let me know if you need any help.